Good afternoon. Good to have you with us on this Monday at 4. I'm Dustin Grove.
And I'm Felicia Lawrence. And right now, tributes are pouring in from around the world following the death of Pope Francis. Here's a live look at St. Peter's Square in the Vatican, in Vatican City. You can see mourners are still crowded there. Also this afternoon, we have just learned the Pope died of a stroke that prompted irreversible heart failure. Ahead, we will take a look at the local impact Pope Francis had here. But our coverage begins with Lee Waldman on the Pontiff's life and worldwide legacy.
Dear brothers and sisters, with deep sorrow I must announce the death of our Holy Father, Francis.
Hours after giving the Easter blessing in front of thousands of Catholics in St. Peter's Square,
Buona Pasqua.
Pope Francis died at his residence at 88 years old. In his final message, the Holy Father called for an end to wars in Gaza, Ukraine, and Sudan. His death now sparks 9 days of mourning for Catholics and an outpouring of love from across the globe.
I remember when he called me when my mom died. I remember when he called me during COVID to find out how God's people here in New York were doing.
Pope Francis's papacy was unprecedented in many ways by being more inclusive, supporting same-sex civil unions, and his tireless advocacy for migrants. He's remembered by many as the People's Pope.
The Pope of the poor, the Pope of the marginalized, underprivileged. He's also what I'm going to call a reformer Pope, because he made a lot of changes to the way the Vatican is run, the way the church is run.
He was a good man. Loved the way he was with the poor.
People can understand each other and not be against each other and can disagree but can still love each other. And I think that was good, that he brought that to the table.
Pope Francis's death comes weeks after he was released from the hospital after battling a life-threatening case of pneumonia in both lungs. In New York, I'm Lee Waldman.
And the Pope's death is having an impact here as well.
Certainly. Matthew Foltz talked with local parishioners today about the Pope's impact on the Catholic Church here.
It was here inside St. Monica's Catholic Church on Indy's northwest side where some parishioners say they first learned the news of Pope Francis's passing. And while some tell me his legacy will leave a lasting impact, others say their hearts are now filled with sadness.
Pero sí sentimos una tristeza en el corazón.
So he has the love of God, but she feels very sad in her heart.
Wiping away tears, Petra Velasco is heartbroken over the death of Pope Francis. She was among dozens who came to Mass Monday morning leaning on faith.
Father mentioned at the beginning of the Mass, and, we were all sad to hear of his passing, so it was nice to pray for him together.
Martha Horvath says the bonding time was needed after hearing the news. Francis had been the Pope for 12 years, and in that time, Horvath tells me, he did things that set him apart from other popes, as well as having an impact here in Indy.
The fact that he was a little bit more liberal than some of the preceding popes had been, and the fact that he emphasized charity and concern for the poor, concern for the immigrants.
But it was really his way of welcoming all walks of life that parishioners tell me they really loved about Francis.
He did a good job of embodying who we believe in and bringing that presence in the world where he really cares for those people who most are in need of care. And it changes your life, so we really miss him.
And parishioners here at St. Monica's Catholic Church tell me they're just praying as the Cardinals will now select a new Pope to lead the Catholic Church. Reporting on Indy's northwest side, I'm Matthew Foltz, 13 News.
And you may remember it was about 11 years ago when Pope Francis met Queen Elizabeth for the first time. Here's video of their meeting. The two exchanged gifts. He gave her a precious stone globe and an antique parchment dating all the way back to 1679. She gave him jams and drinks. The Pope died yesterday on what would have been the Queen's birthday. On to other headlines now this Monday afternoon. How many rental homes are too many in a neighborhood? Is there such a thing? That's the debate going on right now in Fishers, and other communities across central Indiana are likely taking notice.
So tonight, the Fishers City Council will hear testimony, and they could vote to impose a cap on rental homes in that Hamilton County city. Rich Nye has actually been talking to people about this issue today. And Rich, who's behind this push?
Well, Felicia, it really starts with the mayor, Mayor Scott Fadness of Fishers, who says Fishers homeowners are concerned about the number of homes in his city that are owned by companies and people who don't live in them. The proposal would require all single-family rentals to register with the city, and then rentals would be limited to 10% of the homes in a community.
We're ensuring a couple things. One, we're going to know who we can contact when we do have a problem with the registration. And then two, with a cap, we make sure that no particular neighborhood gets overly saturated with rentals. We're not banning rentals. 10% is still a significant portion of our housing stock. We're just making sure it doesn't get saturated in any one particular neighborhood.
We don't believe that subdivisions in Fishers are being saturated by single-family renters, so we don't see the rationale that exists for a really unprecedented intrusion into the choices and options that are available to homeowners in Fishers.
The Indiana Association of Realtors says this unnecessarily infringes on the rights of property owners, and they have been very active sending text message blasts to property owners in Fishers, telling them to let their council members know this is not something they want. We'll get into more of that tonight at 6 o'clock, and we'll look at a couple of renters in Fishers who I talked to today. They're definitely opposed to this proposal.
All right, could be a heated meeting then tonight, perhaps.
For sure.
All right, Rich, thank you so much.
Want to get to breaking news right now. This is out of Northwest Indiana. This is a semi on fire on I-65. Look at those flames. This is up near Roselawn. All lanes north and southbound are closed right now in that area. So anybody heading to Chicago or coming home to Indy from Chicago will likely be impacted by this. And it could be some time before the interstate is back open again. Again, this is north of Lafayette. For now, traffic's being diverted at exits 230 and 240. We don't know what caused that fire, but we'll certainly continue to monitor that situation to our north.
Okay, lots of smoke and fire there. And here's a story that will impact a lot of drivers here locally. Starting May 5th, speed enforcement will begin in the Clear Path construction zone. So that's at 465 and 69 on the northeast side of Indianapolis. So drivers traveling 11 miles an hour or more over the posted speed limit will get a violation notice through the mail. Now, the first violation, it's just a warning. Then the second violation, you'll receive a $75 fine. And then third and subsequent violations will cost you a $150 ticket.
All right, 11 or over. Watch your speed.
There we go.
On the northeast side.
Yes, on the northeast side, that's 465 and 69 for all my friends who might need that underscore.
Who might need it.
Right, who might need it?
Needed it underscored.
Won't mention any names.
11 miles over, $75 fine. Let me recap.
Send it to your friends and family. Yeah. Sean is watching the weather right now. Cloudy, but at least the rain's out of the way.
Yeah, rain is done. We're going to shut it down here for several days, and I would argue that the weather this time tomorrow afternoon will be some of the best in the country.
Ooh.
He called it weather perfection.
Okay,
tomorrow
wait,
afternoon.
he said best. I'm also talking to the people that love snow here.
No,
so
well,
let's
true.
Specify.
We love our season.
We love spring too, and now it's spring.
Who doesn't love sun and 70s?
I'm just checking.
All right, okay.
I got to make sure.
Yeah, that's what we have for tomorrow. Now for today, I know we've got all this cloud cover. It looks like it might want to rain at any given moment, and it's not. But it is going to block that sunshine here. And look at the spread in temperatures near 70, where you've had some little more breaks of sun there in Shelbyville and Richmond and Columbus. And normally what would be our warmest time of the day has actually been our coolest so far as we drop into the 50s. So we were actually in the mid and upper 60s around the metro area at noontime, and now we've dropped here. When you take that map and compare it to what we had Easter afternoon, ranging anywhere from 5 to 15 degrees cooler than what was the warmest Easter we've had since 2016. Now, dew points are drying out. You probably have noticed it was a little more humid over the weekend and early this morning, and that will give way to a clearing night and a cooler night before we get to those 70s. Much more in the 7-day forecast.